Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to our February 28th regular school board business meeting. At this time, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Anderson Coleman? Here. Birchbaum?
Here.
Crawford? Here. Dr. Chris Gonzalez?
Here.
Strubin? Mr. Wallace?
Present.
Ms. Young?
Here. All right, thank you. At this time, we will be led in our belief statement and pledge of allegiance by our student representatives, Ms. Fitzsimmons and Mr. Parikh.
We believe that every student has the right to an excellent education in a safe, experiential, and imaginative learning environment. We believe that every student deserves equitable opportunities to learn, grow, lead, and serve. We believe that an intentional focus on future-ready skills and dispositions, integrated with essential academic knowledge, develops an empowered 21st century graduate. We believe that mental, emotional, and physical health are essential conditions for optimal learning. We believe that collective efficacy and shared accountability are vital ingredients to a productive, empowered workforce. We believe that Winchester Public Schools must be learner-centered, agile, and courageous in modeling the power of public education across our Commonwealth, country, and world. We believe that a vibrant public education system positively impacts the social, economic, and civic well-being of Winchester. We believe that embracing the diversity of our students, their families, and our community is a strength that unifies us. We believe that to achieve equity, we must clearly define and monitor the extent to which all learners and groups are empowered through access, diversity, and inclusion. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Moves us on to Chairman's comments. I don't have any comments at this time, so I'll open it up for Dr. Van Huegelen for Superintendent Comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Welcome, everyone, this evening. It's good to see everyone tonight. We have a full agenda of celebration tonight, and first and foremost, we want to celebrate our school board. It is School Board Appreciation Month, so sincerely from my seat as superintendent, I know I speak for our cabinet and central office and all of our staff. We're really grateful for the time that you put in to serve on this board, and I want to emphasize the word serve. This is a labor of love, and no one will really know or understand the amount of time, energy, thought that goes into the work of a school board. They don't get to see the behind-the-scenes phone calls that you take and how you weigh your decision making. So I just want to say thank you, and I know the citizens of Winchester thank you. And then the last thing is I understand we have a leap year baby in the house. Congratulations, Shayla. Happy birthday. Everyone say happy birthday to Shayla.
Thank you, Dr. Van Huegelen. At this time, we'll open up the floor for board member comments. I'll start down here to my right. Mr. Birchnell?
I think it's also School Clerk Appreciation Month, is it not? Bonnie? We appreciate you every day, all the time. You keep us in line and on task. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Dr. Pierce Gonzalez?
Here, I will echo that. Miss Sandy, just appreciative for everything that you do for us, especially, well, just me personally, keeping me in line with all the meetings and stuff coming up. And it's great to see people's faces again, looking down. I forgot how good looking Mr. Wallace was.
Thank you. Ms. Holman?
Thank you, Mrs. Sandy. And thank you to my colleagues on the board. It is a privilege to be able to serve with you. And thank you for seeing our division and for seeing every student within our division. I greatly appreciate that.
Thank you, Ms. Holman. Mr. Wallace?
I just want to say thank you to everybody on the board and Bonnie and all them for all the hard work they've done in helping me out as I grow in this position. But I also want to take time to give a thank you to a few community members that have stepped up big for our middle school football program and our athletics. And I want to say thank you to Andy Ripperman, Jason LaRue, Kevin McKinley, and Jaden Seibert. They they saw a need when Van Hoeken last year was able to get a football field out there for Dane Morgan, and they came out and they saw that there's a lot of things that need to be done that the school might not be able to have in the budget to do. So they came up with the fundraisers that they're putting on in March 19th, to raise money for the football program. And I just want people to understand how important this is as a coach there, that it's not just about the football team, it's about the whole school. When that football field was out there, them kids were excited. I had managers who didn't play, they never would have been managers, showed up out there to be managers. I watched kids during the PE time set up that football field with pride, and I watched cheerleaders cheer, and I watched kids from all ages, from 6th grade on, in there cheering their team on. So how important that is to our middle school for these kids to have a place to call home, but also you also see that reflected in the classrooms, and the kids were doing everything possible to keep the grades up and be active on the in the program. So I want to give them a big shout out, because when community people come together and help us out, that's what makes our community better. And this is one time that I'm very proud to live in Winchester, to see the pride it takes. And there's no doubt that that lives up to our motto, whatever it takes to learn. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace. Ms. Crawford?
I'd like to thank our fellow board members, my fellow board members, and Bonnie, thank you so much for keeping us all in line. And I'd also like a special thanks to the teachers that have worked tirelessly, and our staff, to keep this whole ball rolling. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Crawford. All right. I'll open up the floor for any student representative comments. I'll start with Ms. Fitzsimmons. Or Ms. Parikh, looks like you're going first.
Yeah.
Yep.
So today I marked down in my notes how many students in each of my classes are still wearing masks despite them being optional. And let me pull that up real quick. Let's see, so in my first block, all 9 out of 9 students in there were wearing masks. I have a study hall in my second block, but in third block, 13 out of 21 were wearing, and in fourth block, 4 out of 7. So I definitely see the importance of now that cases are going down. I'm glad that students still have the option, but I'm also glad that many students are still continuing to choose to wear masks. And granted, one of my teachers did remark that seniors, which are primarily in the classes that I'm in, continue to wear masks at higher rates, but I did find it heartening that many are continuing to still wear masks, and I have a feeling that that will prevent any spikes in cases and keep our kids in schools.
Thank you, Ms. Parikh. Okay. Ms. Fitzsimmons?
Well, thank you for the birthday wishes, you all. I did want to say that it is different having some students and some teachers not wearing masks, but I do love seeing the smiles. It creates a really different classroom environment, so I'm really happy about that. I also wanted to quickly just appreciate and acknowledge the way that several of my teachers and several of the other teachers in John Hanley have incorporated the recent events that's happening in Ukraine into the lessons or into the classroom discussions. I think it really reinforces to the students how important keeping on track global current events are, and having a global perspective is. And of course, thank you all, the board members and Bonnie, for all you do for me and all the students of Winchester Public Schools. I'm very grateful.
Thank you so much, Ms. Fitzsimmons. Okay, that moves us on to our second agenda item, which is our recognitions. And we have our first portion is Frederick Douglass Elementary School Showcase. And we have Ms. Downey.
Good evening. Ms. Zemo, Dr. Van Hukelum, school board members. It's always a delight for us to have an opportunity to share with you some of the exciting things that are going on at Frederick Douglass. Ms. Mastel, my assistant principal, is here with me this evening, and we're going to share some highlights in some short video clips, and then we also have some students with us in person this evening who will be sharing some of their writing with you. So, Mr. McBride, can you forward that? Thank you. So our presentation today is really focused on literacy. You may recall that our slogan or our theme at Frederick Douglass is growing global leaders in literacy and language. So we're going to explore a little bit about that concept of literacy today and what we're doing to really address literacy growth at Frederick Douglass. And then we'll also talk with you about how our Frederick Douglass students are learning the empowered learning skills and dispositions through literacy development. And then, of course, we have our fourth graders here this evening as well. So when we think about literacy, we're thinking about it in broad terms this evening, related to literacy as a way we interact with the world around us. It's how we communicate with others through reading, writing, speaking, and listening, and creating. It can certainly be a focus of literacy in math as well. We want our students to be literate in all content areas, so we're not limiting that definition just to reading and writing. So what we did this evening is we picked out a couple strategies that are happening in our school, and these are, again, related to literacy development. We have some fabulous teachers who are implementing some really great strategies that are helping our students make some good progress. So we have a couple video clips of those. So the first one is going to be something we call the bridge. This is a strategy that our teachers learned from a Participate workshop, and it helps our students to make some metalinguistic connections between English and Spanish. So really it happens after a concept has been taught. You'll see an example in kindergarten where our students are learning their numbers. And then there's a comparison bridge activity that takes place between the two languages. It's a really powerful strategy that helps kids to kind of process both languages, compare and contrast the languages, and then make some connections. The second part of the clip will be a co-teaching team that we have in first grade. They will be doing kind of a tag team approach to co-teaching. They're two of our fabulous first grade teachers, and they do some modeling. You'll see one of the teachers really do some modeling for our students about how to ask questions about text, how to be a good listener. So that'll be on our next slide.
All right, we're going to make a Spanish-English chart with our number sight words. So the title says number words. Over here, I have the word English. Say English. English. What do you hear at the end of English? All right, what's the next number? 4. 4. Show me 4. Show me 4. Oh, show me the number word 4. I'm seeing your fingers. That's good. 4. How many syllables in 4? Syllables. 4. 1 syllable, and how many letters? 4. Hey, there's 4 letters in the word 4. That's kind of cool.
And 1 syllable in the word 1.
1 syllable in the word 1 and the word 1. All right, let's spell 4 for me.
¿Qué es esto? Los números de 0 a 5, y aquí lo hacemos en español. Listo. Muy bien. Sé que ustedes hicieron estos números en la clase de Miss Upshaw, ¿cierto? Ahora vamos a hacerlos en español. Vamos a escribir aquí español. Esta parte es inglés. Aquí están los números del 0 al 5 y aquí lo vamos a hacer en español. Si yo escribo español, ¿cuál es la primera letra? La E, muy bien. Español, con la ñ, español. Listo. ¿Qué número es en inglés? 0. 0, muy bien. ¿Y cómo es en español? en español es con la C. Cero.
So, we are going to be reading Once Upon a Cool Motorcycle Dude. I'm going to be our lovely lady here. And Mrs. M is going to be
A lovely man.
Wait, I have a question, Ms. Rosencrantz. Go ahead. Can we make a prediction? Okay, so usually fairy tales, do they happen in the past, right now, or in the future?
In the future.
Once upon a time, a long, long time ago. Past, present, or future?
Past.
No. Let's start with who. Who were the characters in our story? Addison.
The characters were the girl and the boy.
The girl and the boy? And who else? Jaden. The cool man? Who else? The cool dude on the motorcycle? Alex? Good.
So there you saw the bridge in the first part and then co-teaching. So our next piece, I'm going to let Ms. Mastel talk to you about phonemic awareness and our encouragement of risk-taking in writing.
Good evening. So as you can see, those were examples of some things going on in our kindergarten and our first grade classrooms. So next we're going to take a look at some things that are happening in our second and third grade. The first video we'll see is going to be Miss Anderson. She is one of our reading specialists, and she's working with students on our Foundations program. And that's the program that we're using currently K4 for phonics instruction. We tend to try to use that as a tier 1 intervention and keep it in all classrooms. For students who are struggling in that area and are still showing below grade level, we are using it in some smaller groups, more on their level as a tier 2 instruction as well. The second piece that you'll see is going to move into our third grade classroom with Ms. Jules, and you'll see some explicit writing instruction that we have going on in her classroom.
All right. C-H, chin.
C-H, chin.
A-N-G, fang, ang.
A-N-G, fang, please.
Right, that's the one we did yesterday, once.
Often.
Always. All right, I want to talk about always today. That's the trick word we're going to use in our sentence later, so we have to know how to spell it. Can you spell it with me, please?
A-L-W-A-Y.
Make sure you write it so you can see it. All right, finish up.
Penny, can you tell me what topics you're putting down on your web when you're brainstorming?
I'm putting down cats, how to make lemonade, soccer, basketball, dogs, and right now I'm gonna tell about other topics. I'm gonna tell about writing, on how you can write a story.
And writing dogs, nature, soccer, and writing.
Did we brainstorm?
Yes.
Check that off. Next, you want to choose one idea. How many ideas should you have?
One.
What you don't want to do is have so many things going on with your paper. So when you choose that one idea, Jacqueline, you plan for that topic. What did we use to plan for how to do something? We're teaching somebody how to do. What did we use? What is that plan or that tool that we used? That is correct, box and bullets. So you actually can use that same plan. Would I use a timeline to plan for that?
No.
No, because your timeline actually would go with narrative, because you know narrative has beginning, middle, and end. And so that timeline is not appropriate for that. So when you're planning, you want to make sure you choose the appropriate tool to plan.
So as you can see from our videos, K to 4, our teachers are really doing an amazing job of providing all of the essential elements and providing a well-balanced literacy program. And in each of those clips, you can tell that teachers just kind of inherently are already doing a lot of the skills and dispositions that we want kids to be engaged in class. But as we move into our 4th grade video, you're going to be able to see where they're actually providing some very explicit instruction on some of those skills and dispositions, and how students are really starting to be able to develop and express their own thoughts on some of those skills. And this one focuses specifically on collaboration.
Recuerda ser respetuoso con la opinión de la otra persona. Todos están haciendo su poema, todos van hacia el mismo lugar y traten de, si hay problemas, resolver los conflictos, ¿ok? Estamos trabajando con esta... No, ¿qué haces adentro? Miras televisión, música, lees.
What does it mean to collaborate?
To work with your friends or your group, and to work together and get either the different answer or the same and see which one is right.
What does it mean to collaborate?
To listen to each other and to see each other's perspectives and to agree on which one is the best. Okay. Nice. Yeah. The mood is like nice. It's calm. It's calm. What's another word? Grateful. It's grateful. Yeah. Grateful. Great and full. Great.
So I just will conclude with this quote that it is not enough to simply teach children to read. We have to give them something worth reading, something that will stretch their imagination, something that will help them make sense of their own lives and encourage them to reach out toward people whose lives are quite different from their own. And that's Catherine Patterson, who's a children's author. She wrote Bridge to Terabithia and some of those. So really great perspective on literacy development. Our final part this evening is some friends we brought with us who would like to share some of their writing with you. And I also have two of my fabulous teachers here tonight. I have Ms. Stock and Ms. Acuña's here. If they'll come forward too, they'll share with you just a little bit about their poetry unit. And then we have Juanita here. Juanita, if you want to come on up. And we have Xander and Ainsley and Charlotte.
We just finished up, thank you, we're finishing it up this week, a really great poetry unit that has involved us reading a novel called, what was our book called? Love That Dog, which is the whole novel written in poetic verse. But within the book itself, this main character reads a lot of other famous poems. So we kind of dabbled every day in, hey, yesterday we read this poem, let's look at what type of poem that is, and then we fooled around with trying to write that type of poem. So we did many, many different types. One of their favorites was onomatopoeia, where you get the sound words in your poem. So Xander and Ainsley are going to share some that have some onomatopoeia, and then I'm going to let Senor Acuña tell you about how we kind of tried to tie it in Spanish class as well with the poetry.
Well, good evening. And in Spanish, what we did was to work with two types of poem, the Amante poem, where kids were in Spanish with verbs, adjectives, and nouns. And the other poem that we developed is using sensory words, so the kids were working a lot with adjectives too. And those are the poems that kids are going to show tonight. And they are, the theme was the winter.
El invierno. El invierno se siente como el viento fuerte pasando en mi cara. Sabe a una mezcla de chocolate caliente y hielo congelado. Suena a una persona soplando en mi oído. ¡Qué fuerte el viento! Huele refrescante como el agua de coco. Se ve como un paisaje blanco, blanco que alumbra mis ojos. Me hace sentir alegre y libre. Mi fantástico pero frío invierno. El invierno se siente frío afuera, pero caliente en mi casa grande y amarilla. Sabe a chocolate caliente, caliente. Sabe también a deliciosas galletas hechas por mi mamá y yo. Suena a mi perro Sparkles y a mi hermano Aiden jugando en la nieve. Huele a mi chimenea acogedora y ahumada. Yo miro mi patio y veo los pinos altos y verdes. El invierno me hace sentir valiente, acogedora y divertida. Teapot. Drip, drop, tea, tipping, cup, slipping. Splash, gulp, warm tea in my mouth. Calm sensation in my throat. A nice feeling in my hands. Happiness comes from my cup. Joyfulness is what I feel. Breakfast boogie. Ring, ring, ring for my alarm clock. Thump, thump, thump for my feet on the stairs. Pop from the toaster, sizzle, crackle from the bacon, grumble from my stomach, screech from my chair, zip for my book bag, slam for my door, and a shout for me yelling by.
Thank you for the opportunity this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Downey. And students, it's actually great. I understood a lot of the poems in Spanish, so that was pretty good. And so this is really what it's about, where we get to see what's actually going on in the classroom. So we really appreciate you guys presenting to the board this evening.
All right, this time we are going to celebrate our school board. And as is our tradition, each of the schools have adopted a school board member. And so tonight, each school will come up and recognize each of you, and we'll probably have a small gift for you. So I'm going to start with Miss Emo in John Hanley High School. So Miss Kablan, if you'll come up to the podium and present to Miss Emo.
I know you wanted one. I just want to say thank you to all of you. Of course, as Dr. Van Huklum said, people don't see a lot of the work that you do behind the scene. We do, we hear you, we see you, and we definitely appreciate all the work you do for us. You keep us going and you keep our schools open, so thank you for all you do. This is a cutting board, and it was done in our new center. The IC students worked on it, and it has John Hanley and the IC in the bottom here. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so excited to have this, because I was like, I want one day. We did a visit a couple weeks ago at the Innovation Center. There were students working on these kinds of projects, and I guess I mentioned that I would totally love to have something like this, so I'm so happy. So thank you.
This is from the Garden Club.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you again.
Thank you. Awesome. I'm so excited.
Thank you, Ms. Kablan. Ms. Trubin isn't here today, but I certainly want to invite Ms. Buckley up here from Daniel Morgan Middle School. Ms. Trubin had an emergency in her family, and so she's not with us tonight, but I'll certainly relay the message and make sure she gets her gift.
Good evening, everybody. And I'll echo what Ms. Kablan said, and I just want to say thank you to all of you. I know this is a lot of time and energy on top of your daily responsibilities, so thank you to all of you. We do have a couple of things this evening, and I do want to share with you how they were made very quickly if I could. We had some inside information that Ms. Trubin loves coffee and flowers. So we brought her coffee and flowers. So our students made her a tumbler in the makerspace. I'm probably going to pronounce some of these words wrong because I'm not really familiar with them. But I'll read to you very quickly. It takes hours and hours to make them. So it's called epoxy resin, and it's a three-step process. First, a base layer of primer is applied to the stainless steel tumbler to give the resin something to stick to. Then the base layer of the epoxy resin is applied and left to harden for 8 hours overnight. The final layer it mixed with alcohol-based ink that students applied and then carefully manipulated with a small torch so that the alcohol would burn off and create custom one-of-a-kind patterns. So this took several hours over several days, and we allowed multiple students to take part in this. So here's our coffee tumbler, and that is from our students. And the other thing that we made her is from one of my teachers, and he very much wanted to do this for her. So we have a teacher-created gift and a student-created gift. J.C. Quinn, our art teacher, it's very Apple Blossom-esque, and we just want to make sure you all know the teachers appreciate you too, just as the students do. So we have a flower portrait for her as well, and J.C. signed the bottom of it. All right, so we have both of those for her. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Buckley. And now we have Dr. Weigel from Daniel Morgan Intermediate School, the Generals, and they have adopted Dr. Pierce Gonzalez this year.
Good evening. So just like the fellow principals have said, thank you all. I know that thank you doesn't really sound like a lot, but it's from the heart and it's from so many people, and it's also from the students. And you know, the students often don't really realize what the school board does. They just kind of think it's the people that tell me what to do sometimes. And I think that, you know, they truly see when we do artwork like this and we do appreciation things like this, what the school board does for our students. So Dr. Pierce Gonzalez here. I don't know what shoes you're wearing today, but we went with a Vans shoed theme for you. All right, so there is a General's shirt in here so that there's something school related for you. So we got you the memoir of the founder of Vans. I don't know if you have this or not, but it's actually pretty interesting. So that's for you there. So this is all student generated. There is some, obviously, teacher support there, but their hindsight was, we should have used better paper. And so you just go with it. Oh, I thought I took them all off. Yeah.
They really know you're a sneakerhead, don't they? That's awesome.
So here is part of the work and process. They did a tracing, and then they're studying pointillism. I think that's it. And so these are all student fingerprints that make up the color in here. And then students decided to sign their names to it as well. So this was done through Ms. Lockhart's art class, and they had a great time doing it. So Bree's up here. She's kind of the mastermind behind the ideas. So they had a good time doing it. So now you have your own personal.
Thank you so much. No offense to my past gift givers, but
What's that? I couldn't hear.
no offense to my past gift givers, but I think the bar has been raised.
All right, thank you, Dr. Weigel. And now we have Dr. Bryant from Virginia Avenue Charlotte DeHart Elementary School. She had done some sleuthing as well. I had a little inside scoop there. So she, Vactas has adopted Mr. Birchenoff this year.
Well, good evening, and I join the rest of my fellow principals in thanking all of the board members for your tremendous work and all the hours you put into representing the community and leading us. Thank you very much. Yes, we're really delighted to have Mr. Birchenoff as our honored school board member from our school. Well, we had one great idea, which this is literally student handprints on the bag. However, your gift was so heavy that we got a big hole in the bag. I'm still going to give it to you in case you would like to do something with the handprint. We we also have some artwork that the students helped to create, and this says, Virginia Avenue, Charlotte DeHart staff and students are sending you a truckload of thanks for all you do to support education. It's a really nice, colorful print. We have a t-shirt for you. This is a t-shirt that was our school-wide t-shirt this year. And it says, I change the world every day. So that's for you. And finally, we did do a little bit of sleuthing and found out that your favorite book was The Lion, or one of your favorites growing up, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And we found a children's version of that, a younger children's version of. So it's our tradition at Virginia Avenue, Charlotte DeHart, to donate a book in honor of the school board member that we're recognizing to our school library. But we would like for you to be the first reader, and we hope you will enjoy this with your family. And then we would like to have this back. But then your name is on the book plate, and every child who checks it out will be able to recognize that this book was donated in your honor to the Virginia Avenue Charlotte DeHart Library. I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you, that's awesome. I was just digging through my bag. I found this from DMIS from a few years ago, and I still have a flat mic from Frederick Douglass a couple years ago. So cherish these things, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Bryant. Now I'd like to invite Ms. Joni Hovatter to join us from Garland Corals Elementary School, and they have adopted Mr. Elias Wallace.
What's that now? You know we're going to have something up our sleeves. I want to get in on that sleuthing stuff, though. Wherever this detective stuff's going on, I need to get in on that network. But I did listen this evening. Mr. Wallace, I really appreciate what you had to say about building a stronger community. That's what you guys do here with lots of selfless hours, and we really appreciate it. We have a collection of a lot of little things, okay? And I hope at the end of it will send the big message, which is we appreciate you, okay? The first is a well-written student story, reading and writing. You're exactly right. Another little thing that we have, and I love these, because when you look at it like 5 years from now, because I've been in Winchester a little while, and I'll look at some of the poems or some of the letters that I've received over the years, and I still have some framed outside my office. So it's very touching. Here's another one, and you can see some of our children's artwork. Maybe not the fanciest paper, but I think it's very, very special because they all wrote thank you, or they said, I'm going to give you a football in 1 cent. So this kid knows you already, okay? And that's from Christian. Just letting you know that. That's right on there. These, I did not take the time to read them, but they're written by my friend, Miss Kim Grove, who has been working on Famous Americans. So, sir, I think you might be told some really cool things that they might confuse history a little bit, but that's okay. We'll go with it. Every person at Garland Corals Elementary School needs to have their own signature shirt. And then the last one, which I'm staying in line with my fellow principals, we like artwork, and Rick Edwards is probably one of the best. And I just love this. I want this. I don't have this in my office yet. I know. So take a look. It's really well done. And a little keychain, just in case you need it. Okay?
Thank everybody so much. I'm going to enjoy reading all this. And all right, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joni. And then we have Miss Beth ODonnell, if you'll join us up at the podium, from John Kerr Elementary School, and they've adopted Miss Carmen Crawford.
All right, again, thank you, everyone. Echoing what everyone else has already said. You guys just put in so many hours, and nobody else sees it. So thank you so much for all you do for our community and for our students, always putting our students first. So Ms. Crawford, We have a wonderful gift for you this evening, one big gift from us. And Ms. Campbell, our teacher, is going to share the process the students went through to make it for you.
So our school secretary, treasurer, I knew I was going to say that, Chris McNamara made the wreath, but the students learned a new process called photo transfer, where there are pictures of each of the schools in Winchester and even the new Innovation Center. And so we copied it on photo paper, and then they used this process where they painted on the solution and then put it down, and they would have to like rub it, and it would take off the back and transfer it. So it represents all the schools there. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. I think this is like really one of my favorite portions of our, we have one more? Oh,
Keep going.
see, I'm already anxious.
We have one more.
Ms. Holman.
Yeah, Ms. Holman. So I want to invite Ms. Stephanie Downey back up for Frederick Douglass Elementary School, and they've adopted Ms.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you all, board members, for what you do for our students, our teachers, and our community. We have certainly felt your support over the past couple years of these challenges we've been through, so we appreciate it very much. Thank you. This evening, I brought the artist with me this evening, but she's a little shy. I really did not want to present this gift myself because it is a beautiful piece of artwork that I teased her and said, we've commissioned you to do this art. And it's beautiful. She has done a panda for you, and we've had it framed for your office. Wow. And on the back, I'll read what it says, and it has Ava's name. Maybe I will without my glasses. Created for Karen Anderson Holman by fourth grader Ava Zimmerman from Frederick Douglass Elementary School, home of the Pandas. Thank you for all you do, your dedication to our students. We appreciate you.
Wow.
And then, Ms. Anderson Holman, we also have a book for you. This is your copy. It's a sweet story called Your Name is a Song, about a little girl who her class had some trouble saying her name. So her grandma helped her to create it into a song. We've placed a book in our library, the same book, with a plate in the front honoring you, and we would welcome you to come read it, but we'd like you to have this copy for your office as well. So thank you.
So very much. She's coming over. I have to go shake your hand with the artist. Oh. Okay, am I good now? All right. This has been great. As I was saying a few minutes ago, this is really one of the most meaningful parts for me as a school board member, and we really do appreciate it. You know, just you guys taking out the time to think about us and just really doing those meaningful gifts. It really does mean a lot. I would also like to take a moment just to really recognize and appreciate your school board just for really doing what you do best. And especially, I wanted to take a moment to recognize Ms. Holman, who really stepped in during my medical leave and just really kept the ball rolling, didn't skip a beat. And so I just want to let you know, Karen, that I really appreciate you. On behalf of the board, we have something small for you. Flowers. This is on behalf of the board. Thank you all. And also, we could not do this without Mrs. Sandy. I mean, she really is the backbone of the school board and really keeps us all straight, really kind of manages all of us, if I could use that. So we also wanted to recognize you to Mrs. Sandy on behalf of the board. Thank you. Okay, that moves us to item number 3 on our agenda, and that is request for citizens to speak. Mrs. Sandy, do we have anyone that signed up to speak? Is there anyone in the audience that did not get an opportunity to sign up but would like to address the board? All right, thank you. That closes our request to speak portion. Moving on to item number 4, consent agenda. We have consent agenda, approval of consent agenda items, agenda, minutes, bills, facility usage, signature authorization and absence of superintendent, minor policy revisions, and major policy revisions.
Motion to approve the consent agenda is presented.
Okay, we have a motion by Mrs. Holman,
Second.
a second by Mr. Wallace. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, thank you. The consent agenda is adopted. That takes us to, well, it looks like we have no action items this evening. Is that correct? All right, moving on to number 6 on our agenda this evening, reports and presentations. So we'll welcome back up Frederick Douglass Elementary School to present their school improvement plan.
Thank you, Mr. McBride. We're pleased to share with you our school improvement overview this evening with some information about our progress and what our goals are for this year. I know you've heard several other schools, so the format will be very similar. So we'll start with maybe. There we go. So we always like to look at what makes Frederick Douglass unique and what our demographics are. As you can see up there, we're 41% white, 40% Hispanic, 9% African American, 4% Asian, 6% 2 or more races, and then a small percentage of Pacific Islanders. We have some unique culture in our building. We have 16% of our students are with disabilities. 37% are English learners. 86% of our building now are dual language classrooms. So we're left now with 2 pre-K classrooms that are VPI classrooms that are all English. And then we have 1 classroom in 4th grade still that is English only. And that classroom will cycle out next year. Our poverty rate is at 55%. And this number was even a little shocking to me, and that is the number of students who are out of zone at Frederick Douglass. We have 101 students. So to break that down for you a little more, so 13 of our 18 students in our pre-K Spanish class are out of zone. 1 of our VPI students, we have 2 VPI classes, 1 of those students is out of zone. We have 17 special education students attending out of zone, and then, of course, 10 of our students are staff students. So that leaves about 60 who are attending for dual language. As you know, another unique characteristic or program at Frederick Douglass is our Spanish immersion pre-K. We're celebrating 5 years this year. We already have almost a full class for fall, so that has picked up really nicely. And then, of course, our EAGLE program, which is our enrichment and gifted learning experience at Frederick Douglass. So educational attainment and diversity, you can see there on the graph how many of our teachers have bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, and so on. And then 36% of our classroom teachers are native Spanish speakers, representing the following countries. So, of course, we're really proud of that. and excited to welcome them in each year. Our accreditation indicators were all at level 1. This year, of course, COVID has had an impact on how that is determined, but we're pleased with that and happy to be moving forward with that as well. So as you know from my colleagues who've presented previously, there are 2 focus areas for school improvement: teaching for learning and school environment. So we'll start with the learning piece. So our goal as part of our school improvement plan in English language arts is for us to improve to at least a 75% pass rate. You can see our spring SOL scores from 2019, and then from spring of 20. It's pretty amazing to me that we maintained that 61%. And we've talked a lot about that at the building level. The fact that our parents were supportive with reading. We continued to build reading into our virtual learning. So that was interesting that sustained. Our second goal, which is not related to state standards, but one that we've established for ourselves at Frederick Douglass, is we would like for 70% of our students to be reading on grade level before they go over to Dr. Weigel in Spanish, so that we can continue to keep the program going at Daniel Morgan as well. This is our English language learner data from 2019 and then spring of 21. So our goal then is to increase that pass rate from 29% to at least 50%. And with the interventions that we're providing, the support of our ESOL teachers, and certainly our dual language program, and being in school 5 days a week, we believe that we can accomplish that. And then some strategies, I mentioned a couple already. We're continuing to implement our balanced literacy program, Tier 1 instruction, a real focus on making sure that what's happening in Tier 1 is aligned, taught, and assessed. Ms. Mastel talked with you about our direct phonics instruction, and that's in both Spanish and English. Providing scaffolding and support in Spanish through our dual language program. That's the best ESOL support we can provide for our Spanish speakers, and that support is scaffolding them in the content areas. Connecting reading and writing to all content areas. We're working to implement a strong MTSS program with targeted small group interventions, directly teaching our skills and dispositions of empowered learning, and implementing more and more PBL opportunities so that students can connect their learning to real life. And I'm going to let Ms. Mastel talk with you about math.
So when we move into math, if you look at our data from 2018, 2019, and then you kind of jump over to 2021, unfortunately you can see that our scores in math did drop more significantly than what we are seeing in reading. Of course, you can see that comparison was not only with us, it was statewide as well as district-wide. So this has obviously become a big focus for us instructionally, and knowing that we really need to put some work into that math to get students back up to where they were pre-pandemic. So at this point, our goal is to get students back up to at least a 75% pass rate by the end of the spring SOLs. And again, you can see represented in our L population, we still had that significant drop in math. So in order to try to help us get back to where we were pre-pandemic, our goal is that at least 50% of our ESOL students will be performing on grade level again by the end of the year. Some strategies that we are implementing to try to make that happen are continuing to implement our guided reading, working on our Tier 1 instruction, just like reading, making sure that teachers are teaching lessons that are aligned with the standards, making sure we're teaching and assessing frequently. We have started using the Bridges program, which is an amazing intervention program, so we're putting that in place with our Tier 2 students, providing a lot of scaffolding in math, both in the English and Spanish languages, implementing our MTSS and getting targeted small group instruction in place for our Tier 2 and Tier 3 students, directly working in those skills and dispositions that we talked about in our last presentation for our empowered learning and connecting that to our math instruction, And then also continuing to work on implementing PBL opportunities that will allow students to connect math activities to real life. So the last part of this that we looked at was, of course, looking at our school environment. So the data that you see on the right side of the chart is the results that we got from our panorama survey, and those were specifically the questions answered by family on how they relate to our school climate. Again, you can see a little bit of a drop from the spring 19 to spring of 21. Based on the comments that we've read from our panorama data, as well as some face-to-face conversations we've had with people, we believe that some of that is coming from the fact that we haven't been able to connect with families as much because we haven't been able to have them in the building. Pre-pandemic, we were very intentional about having parents in at least once a month and doing after-school clubs, and a lot of those things that we haven't been able to do have, I think, made some people just not feel as connected to the school as they used to. So as we're able to return to kind of our normal mode of operation and get people back in the building, we do think that that will climb back up to where we were before. And some things we're doing and have been doing to try to keep that connection with families is just having teachers communicate with families weekly. I feel pretty confident in saying weekly is probably the least of what our teachers are doing. From what I know, our teachers are communicating on a lot of cases even daily with families. We're doing student-led conferences still twice a year. We've been trying to continue with the monthly parent academy nights. We've had a couple really successful virtual nights that we've been able to hold. Most recently, we held a math night where our instructional coach, Ms. Brancato, led parents in doing some math games and some fun things they could do at home. That was an extreme success. We had a great turnout for that, so that was awesome. We're continuing to send home weekly school communications and also making sure monthly school and grade level newsletters are on the website so that parents really feel like they're connected and know what's going on. And I think that was it.
Thank you, Ms. Mastel.
Sure.
Ms. Downey, does anyone have any questions or comments for Ms. Mastel and Ms. Downey before they sit? Ms. Bridgman, Dr. Pierce-Gonzalez, Ms. Holman?
It is not lost on me how well we're performing relative to state post-pandemic. I really commend you and your team for that work. The pandemic was learning loss for many, and I appreciate the comment that you made about connecting with families and making them feel more connected to the school. During our budget conversation last week, Ms. Truman made the comment about getting those programs going again that will help our kids. So I appreciate you both for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Holman. Mr. Wallace? Ms. Crawford?
I was just wondering if there were games, math games, that you could be put on their tablets or computers that they could play at night. Like, I know Khan Academy has a lot of games that make it fun to do math. Is that possible?
So our students use Dreambox, which is an online learning tool that they use at school. They can have access to that in the evenings as well. The night that we did our virtual parent night, and actually Dr. Van Hukelum was attending that virtual math night, hopped on for a little while. What we did that night was we purchased a deck of cards for every child in the building. They took that home with them that night, and then Ms. Brancato showed them some ways as a family they can use simply a deck of cards to build number sense and to build their knowledge of math, addition, multiplication. She had some really simple, easy ways, and the kids and families loved it. They thought it was great. So we have another math night coming up. This time we're sending home dice, with a little packet of dice with every child in the building. My hope is we might even be able to hold that face-to-face with our families later in March. But again, it'll be some simple things you can do with your child at home, or even the child can do on their own with dice to build number sense. So,
yeah.
Thank you.
But you're right, cards are a good way of
yeah.
counting.
It's true.
Okay. Yes. Dr. Pierce-Gonzalez?
Sorry, it just occurred to me in reading the last slide here. I would love it if we were able to contact the families of our L learners using voice to text or some type of voice. I see here it says email, text, and voice. I would really encourage us to reach out to those families with voice. Maybe get one of the bilingual teachers from the classroom to come over and read whatever it is that you wanted to say in English and Spanish. We have to remember that not all of our Spanish-speaking families actually read Spanish at a high level. So I think if we could get them a voice message or something like that, it would help facilitate the communication.
So our Sunday afternoon message goes out every Sunday at 5 o'clock, and that does go out in a voice message to our Spanish-speaking families in Spanish. It also goes as an email. I'm not sure if it goes as a text, but an email and a voice message.
Is it that computerized one that I get in Spanish?
Yes. Yeah. I know, it's not perfect.
Yeah.
It has gotten better, but it's not perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you. All right.
Oh, I actually had a quick question. Does Frederick Douglass still host the carnival this year?
Oh, Neil, a former Frederick Douglass Panda. You are, aren't you? So Carnival, we do a international night, Neil, and our PTO does do we haven't done it in a couple years, but we used to do a spring carnival. You're right. Yes.
I was just thinking about with getting in contact with parents and stuff.
Yeah.
That could be something. I mean, of course.
Great question.
It's still safe to have
Yes.
parents.
That's why we really like to get parents in the building once a month. And that was something we consistently did pre-pandemic. I mean, I was very committed to that, even if it was just something small like a reading night where everybody traveled around and listened to a story. It gave us a chance to talk with families face to face. We always had plenty of Spanish-speaking teachers there. So we look forward to getting back to that.
Definitely.
Thank you, Neil.
Yeah, I have a lot of good memories from those carnivals.
Thank you, Neil. It's nice to hear.
Yeah, that's true. So do I, Neil. As soon as you said that, I was like, I remember. It was great. All right. Thank you so much. All right. That moves us to our construction update. Mr. Smith.
Hey there, good evening. Just a couple of notes. Since our last update in December, probably the biggest news is that, as expected, the project schedule has been revised. We have received official word from Shockey that the now date of substantial completion is October 31st. Despite our best efforts with the steel package, trying to get that rushed through and get it out, it is still held up in the pipeline, in the supply chain. And so, so we're having some issues getting the steel in like we imagined that we would, but we had hoped that we would be able to avoid that, but unfortunately we're not. And so hopefully in the coming weeks you will see some steel go up, but we are still waiting on that delivery. So, that's the biggest news. In December, we did some testing on some concrete that failed and failed the test for strength and durability, and so we had to go in and pull out a whole bunch of concrete. We did not have to, but the concrete manufacturer, there was again another supply chain issue. They came in and took it all back out and replaced it, and so that kind of held things up, but not significantly enough to impact the schedule. But it's back, and you can see in some of the photographs that I have in the presentation that the foundation has been repoured and is completed. They've leveled for the operations building. They've flattened the lot out there and getting ready to lay a pad there. They've waterproofed the foundation, the new one that went in after those concrete issues. And the biggest, one of the biggest interior work that we're doing right now in the 27 building is replacing the walls, the dry walls, with new wall board, and you'll see that going up over the next couple months. It'll be completed. So the ductwork is going in under the old building, and the new building foundation is in place. And again, just kind of waiting on that steel to get here. And once it does, they'll get it put up, and you'll start seeing walls go up and that kind of thing on the new building. So, but that's kind of where we're at with things. Unfortunately, it does push us a little closer to Christmas, and we will keep our fingers crossed that there aren't any more additional delays.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Any questions?
Comments? Any?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Smith. That does conclude our public portion of our meeting this evening. Ms. Holman, I believe we do have need for closed session.
Pursuant to Section 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia, motion of the board convene in closed session for the purpose of discussing personnel matters, including prospective candidates for employment and the assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees, specifically candidates for instructional license positions for the remainder of the school year, candidates for instructional license positions for the 2022-2023 school year, substitute teachers and support staff, superintendent's new appointment and agreement, and retirements and resignations as listed for school board review.
Thank you, Ms. Holman. We have a motion by Ms. Holman.
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Wallace. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. We are now in closed session.